well, good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Morin. I'm one of the adult education counselors with Fresno City College. I also have one of my colleagues here, Roxy Markarian. I think you can kind of see her for those who are here. We have a huge group here in person, so everybody else is missing out on the fresh pastries and all that good stuff. There's no pastries, so don't feel bad. The beef jerky. So again, just thank you for joining us this morning for the first session especially. So I'm hopefully bringing my energy with fresh coffee right now. So today's session is just to give you an overview of adult education. Here as we have it at Fresno City College, kind of wanting to give you an idea of what projects we're working on and what we're doing out in the community. And it's definitely been an evolution over the years of how our work has evolved and the way that our campus has, grown in its way that it's supporting the work that we're doing. So again, this is going to be about adult education and just sharing with you information about what we do here on campus and in the community. So again, I'm Eric Morin. I'm one of the adjuncts with adult education. I've been here at Fresno City now for 10 years. This is going into starting year 11 now for me. And then Roxy, you've been with us, what, like 7 years?
Going into 8.
All right, so she's starting year 8 right now. So we've been very fortunate in our adult education program. There's 4 of us counselors now, but 3 of us have worked together for the last 8 years. So work very closely together. I think we can all relate to having a group that you feel comfortable with, but I also feel like we all really strive to serve students in a very similar way. We have a heart for the adult learner. So we're very fortunate to work with the pod of counselors that we work with right now. So I won't show the video right now just because I want to make sure if we have time at the end, I'll show it. But the work that we do is very collaborative. There's a lot of people that work with both at other school sites, but also within the community and community partners. And then we also have other staff members and other programs that we work with as well. And a lot of that work actually got recognized last year at a conference where they recognized us as a model program for the work and efforts that we're making. So we're really excited about that. And they actually did an interview where they highlighted a student's success of, him going through the program. And also, like I said, at the end, I'll take some time to show that. But it was really great to be able to have our work recognized out there. So the things that I'm going to be covering throughout this presentation, for one is, first, we'll be talking about how our adult education is structured. We are part of an adult education consortium. And I'm going to also show you what that looks like on a statewide level. I'll be talking about the different partners that we work with. I just kind of alluded to that just shortly ago. I'll be sharing with you information about HiSET and also trying to see who knows what HiSET actually is. We'll be talking about adult ed dual enrollment, talking about the differences between 4-credit classes and non-credit classes. That's a lot of where we live and the work that we do in adult education. Talking about EMLS, the pathways and the collaboration that we're doing at Fresno Adult School. And I'll be plugging my session for this afternoon as well during that time. And then also just talking about the transition work that we do and supporting students coming from the adult school to Fresno City. And then just some other general information about our program. So if at any point you do have questions, please feel free to stop me. And then throughout, I do have part of the rest of our team here. So if there's any questions or if there's anything I'm missing, they may jump in and chime in throughout the presentation as well. All right. So with adult education, we have several goals that we're working towards. The first one is, we're providing access to a community college education. Obviously, we're all here at Fresno City College. We all work here. We're all here serving students. And what we're trying to do is make the access to our college. We're trying to bring people in who likely would not have come otherwise. That's that person who needs that extra nudge. I know we all know that person that needs that nudge. And a lot of times, sometimes we're thinking about that 19-year-old niece or nephew, but a lot of times this is the 45-year-old aunt who needs that nudge to get back into school or to go and take advantage of opportunities. We work to create a seamless transition from adult school and community partners to the college. So it feels like sometimes like we're out there fishing for students. We're like, all right, how do we get more out here? And how do we find students in these programs that are getting support? And how do we help them with that transition here? We offer HiSET, non-credit courses, dual enrollment, adult schools, and out in the community. We work with general transition services for the adult learner. So I know we have our welcome center that they go out to high schools and do all their recruitment, and they help with all those processes. We do our mini version of that with adult education with the various partners and locations that we serve. We work towards enhancing short-term career readiness and utilizing education and career pathways leading to certificate, degree, or transfer programs. So our goal is, once we get them here, we still want them to continue growing. It's not like okay, we got them, we're done, our job's done. We want to connect them and get them going on to that next part of their educational journey. So Fresno City is part of State Center Adult Education Consortium. So if you see on the map, not Fresno, but California is cut up into all kinds of pieces. And so each of these little pieces on here is a consortium. And throughout each of these, they work together with the different schools and partners in those areas. So you can see that our consortium consists of 15 adult schools, 4 community colleges. So all of our state center colleges are part of our consortium. We have 1 community college center. That's the one with our district. We have 2 ROP programs and a corrections program. So all of us in here, we are part of this consortium, and they meet on a regular basis. And there's goals and markers that they have to make sure that, are we collaborating? Are we helping students effectively? Some of those partners in here are the Workforce Development Board of Madera County, the Regional Workforce Development Board, the public libraries, and other community-based organizations. So this work is very much something where the majority of our work does not lie on our campus here. A lot of it is out in the community.
There's a question in chat.
Yeah.
Can this PowerPoint be emailed to an attendee?
Yeah, we'll be sending it out. Yeah, thank you. So within our consortium, there's 4 different regions that we have. We have our central region, which is Fresno City. So we serve Carruthers Central Adult School, Fresno Adult School, Washington Union, and the Adults in Corrections. Clovis, they're smaller. they have a smaller group out there. Madera is in our north, so they serve a lot of those more mountainous areas up in that way. And then Reedley, they work in our south region, so Dinuba, Kings Canyon, Parlier, Sanger. And the really great thing about this and the way that the consortium is structured, each of these regions has a transition specialist that works at those different schools. So the one that we work with the most is Oscar Hinojosa. He's our transition specialist. And what basically he does is he has a day basically at each one of the sites within our region. So for him on Thursdays, he's at Fresno Adult School. So he's there on Thursdays to help students with completing an application, helping them with financial aid. They meet and collaborate with us on a regular basis so that he also has a good understanding of what other projects we're doing there. So he can also just be that extra support. But really, he's there to help those students with the steps of getting them transitioned, applied here at Fresno City College. And that's the same for all the other regions. There's a transition specialist that focuses on each region. So that transition specialist is also building relationships in that community with other local organizations, with the schools, with the colleges, with the counselors. So we have regular conversations with them as they work to help us support the same students that we hope to be serving over here. So just to give you a little idea of all the different stuff we do, and I'll be talking about each one of these separately. But just an overview, EMLS courses. Right now, we are offering classes here at Fresno Adult. Sorry, not here at Fresno Adult. I work a lot at Fresno Adult, so sometimes I forget where I am. But Fresno Adult School, we offer off-campus classes. The Seek Institute has been a long partner of ours. This semester, we're launching our first EMLS class at the West Fresno campus. So it's not necessarily off campus, but it's not our main campus here. Our HiSET Prep course, we are offering it here on campus. The Fresno Mission, we partner with Rescue the Children, which is the women's side of the Fresno Mission's work. We have taken BT 377, which is our workplace technology course here on campus. And it has really taken on new life out in the community, whether it's been part of grant funded projects or in addition to a partnership that's developed with Fresno Adult School. And I'll be talking about that on an upcoming slide. But you see, it's kind of all out there. It's at Fresno Adult School, Central Adult School, some of the public libraries who are partnering with this digital literacy and cybersecurity certificate that we've been working with. Fresno Adult School, we've been doing a lot at Fresno Adult School. Like I mentioned, another shameless plug, but we are doing a session later this afternoon at Fresno Adult School where people will get a tour and get to learn about the different programs that are offered there. So I'll be talking about that shortly. We do adult dual enrollment, which is similar, but also still different from the dual enrollment that maybe your 16-year-old student in high school is experiencing. And then just talking about some of our general work of how we serve the students out there. So it's just kind of like a blimp view of what I'll be covering. So this is our adult education team. We are small. We have various roles within. So starting from the left, we have David Woods, who's one of our researchers with our IR office. So we get to have him crunch numbers and look up statistics for us to help us make sure that we're being effective in the work that we do. But he also does a lot of work with our consortium and with the other colleges to make sure that as a district, we're working together to collect data to show the work of adult education throughout our district as well. Then we have Crystal Lee, who's the third counselor of us that has been working together for several years now. The third one is Rosa. She's our student ambassador. Is that the right word? Yeah, student ambassador. She's actually one of our students who I think really exemplifies the type of student that we're working with. That, they're not this 18 to 19-year-old student. They are older. Sorry, I don't know that. But they also have that experience of now being through the college and having that experience of like, oh, I'm older than some of my classmates. And me and her talked about that, so I'm not speaking for her. But it's been really great having her because when she helps our students with applications or helps them navigate self-service, she can relate to like, oh, I remember going through that. And I know what that's like, so that's been a very awesome addition to our team this past year of having somebody that can help with the students and that can also relate to them on the student side of things. Veronica Vargas, she's another counselor that works with us. She's the newest addition to our team. Lisa Vincent is our faculty. We are coordinator. Yeah. Coordinator. All right. She's our coordinator. So she was with college relations for a long time, but we stole her a few years ago. But then we have Roxy Markarian. She's the one who's sitting up in front right here with me. So if you see any silly faces from her, that's her. And then there's myself over here. So, and then in addition to this, we have our dean, and really that's kind of it for our adult education team here on campus. So all the work that we do is really based right here in this picture. So HiSET. Does anybody know what HiSET is? No? All right. You all heard of GED? Okay, so everybody always hears about, oh, I'm gonna go get my GED. You watch a movie, somebody's talking about, I gotta go get my GED. So everybody hears GED. Well, it's kind of like one of those things of like, what do you guys call this right here? That's in front of you. Kleenex? Yeah, but you look at the brand, is it Kleenex? No, right? But it became synonymous with it for so long that this is Kleenex, no matter what brand it is, it's still Kleenex. And that's kind of what happened with GED. That GED is one brand of a high school equivalency. So HiSET is another one. So in the state of California, there's only two that are, what's the word? Two approved by the state. One is GED, the other one is HiSET. So if you hear GED, just know GED is a brand. So if I said like, oh, I want a dark cola, I could do Pepsi or Coke. The same way, if I want a high school equivalency, I can do GED or I can do HiSET. So here on our campus, we are providing students with support in earning their HiSET credential. So this credential serves just as if the student had a diploma. So once they earn it, they have their high school equivalency. And what's really great about the way that we support the student here is they're taking a class with us to do all the preparation for it. The really enjoyable part, I think, for the students in these classes is that they really determine the pace of this class. So they don't come in for class like if they're doing an in-person course and they show up to class. It's not a situation where we say, okay, today we're going to talk about World War II. It doesn't work that way. It could be that maybe Lisa's working on math, or Roxy's working on science, I'm focusing on reading. So we log into an online system and where the student can go in, get the instruction. They do what's called on their drills, but that would be like, when you think back to school, the teacher would do the lecture and then they pass out the worksheet. The drills are like the worksheet. That is the follow-up to the instruction that they gave. So students are very independent in nature in this. So when they come to class, it's about building that collaboration with their classmates, having that like, hey, I'm going to see you in class next week, right? So, it's building that relationship for them, but it's also for some of them, giving them the time dedicated to working on their class. I think all of us, especially as faculty, or if we think back to our student days, it was always easy to say, oh, I'll work on it tomorrow. I'll work on it tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes next week. And then next week, just it goes on and on. So for a lot of these students who maybe have been out of school for a long time, having these classes and having this check-in point of, all right, I'm going to class on Monday and Wednesday afternoons at 1:00. You're focused and you're making sure that you're actually going to the class and you're building it into your routine. And some students from our in-person class may decide to transition to online once they've gotten the hang of it and be able to continue on in a more independent way. But a lot of it is just building up that routine for them and getting them used to it. So this class that we offer, it is a non-credit class here on campus, so students can enroll for it tuition free. So they don't have to worry about having any costs. The only cost associated with this class is the student health fee. So, if they're on campus, it's $23. If they're doing it off campus or online, it's $15. So they're getting that whole class and they get to do this and they can enroll for it every semester. So it's not like a thing of, if I register in August, I have to finish my credential by the end of the semester. No, maybe they have to go a little bit slower. They're managing, 2 jobs and kids and sports and all this, and they can't go really heavy in on it. Because it's non-credit, they are able to enroll in the class multiple times. So if it takes them 1 semester, 3 semesters, however long it takes them, they have that ability to keep enrolling and get the support of the college while they're doing that. And what's really great about this is because they are students with Fresno City, they also get to take advantage of all the other resources on campus. So like our Career and Employment Center, go get that, job search assistance, the career exploration, using our psych services. I've had several students that once I even just tell them about that, they're like, I just need to get into a class so I can go get help with the psych services aspect of it. I think you all know, our Fresno Facts bus pass, the food pantry, among all the other supports that are available on campus. So this is just the tip of it for them. So this is just a really great way for students who are ready to start making that jump and increase their opportunities out there. This is a great thing for them to be able to take advantage of. And there is this thing where sometimes we get questions from students, well, why don't I just do it at Fresno Adult School? And we tell them, if you'd like to, go for it. You know, we're not in this business of like trying to compete with our adult school partner. And just very truthfully, like, I think they were maybe worried about that at first of like, whoa, wait, why is Fresno City offering this? Well, but we offer it in a different setup. They have GED classes over there where they meet 3 or 4 hours a day, 2 or 3 days a week, whereas ours, you know, maybe meets twice a week for 2 hours or it's online. So for different students, it's gonna fit differently as well. So sometimes if our schedule doesn't work, we will say, well, why don't you go check out, you know, Central Adult School, go check out Fresno Adult School. And they often have situations where maybe it doesn't work out for them over there. So then they send students to us. And that's been part of the fruits of having built this relationship with our adult schools is nobody feels like they're poaching students from each other. We ultimately just want to figure out what works best for the student, period. And working on getting that for them. When it comes to the cost of the test, if a student is paying it purely out of pocket, it's around 178.
171. All
171.
five.
171. The HiSET has 5 subject areas, so it's reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. So each of those tests, you know, they would pay, you know, as they go with doing it. We've been fortunate that with the work we do with our adult ed consortium, like last year, any student who was going through the test, they had waivers available that was made possible through a grant. So students weren't even having to pay for their test on top of that. So that was a nice added bonus for those students not to have to even pay for their exam for this.
So it's $30 per test.
$30 per test.
Yeah, and they don't have to pay for it. They can pay for the test as they take each one. They don't have to pay all of it upfront.
So, yeah.
There's a question.
Sorry.
Where do they take the test?
Where do they take the test? So what's really cool about HiSET, and we actually just had a training on Monday with the state and they were telling us about it, but HiSET, there are different testing locations throughout the community. Some of them, they may have to drive a little further than others. Fresno City hopes to be eventually a testing site where we can host the test. And that means even, you know, if there's a student up in the foothills who's doing HiSET preparation on their own, that they could eventually come and just take their test here with us. They have a lot of very rigid requirements for being a test site. So sometimes that can become a challenge for different schools or different organizations who want to be a test site. But they've also made it like COVID really opened that door for students of them being willing to let students test at home. They have to go through this little process to make sure that they have a secure browser and make sure that they're going to be in a home that is going to be around them. They have to make sure, you know, that they're truly doing the work on their own, that they're doing the test. So there are those independent ways that they can do it, like doing it at home. Yeah, Lisa.
We're allowing students to do individual testing out at West Fresno Center. Is that still happening, Roxy?
Yes, so we can coordinate with, it takes a little bit of coordination, but West Fresno Center has study rooms and they have devices put aside for the students taking the HiSET because there is some program that runs in those computers that students were not allowed to. So we have devices set aside and students can request to be in the study rooms to take their exam. So it's still a test at home, but there isn't anything in the writing that you have to physically be at a home or your home. You can take it somewhere in a space that meets those requirements Eric was talking about. So West Fresno is usually where we'll send students if they don't have a device or a space that would help them, you know, while they're taking the exam.
Yeah. Was there any other question?
Just
All right. All right. Well, I hope I answered your question, or we answered your question. That was the collaborative one on that one. Yeah, so this class, the other really nice thing about this class, it is an open entry, open exit. So we don't have to adhere to the census deadlines the same way that your, you know, business class does, or your child development class does. So if somebody came to us in 4 weeks after the traditional census date, we could still get them enrolled in this class all throughout the semester. And I think the last part I just really want to drill home is because of the independent nature of the content of the class, this is really a class where a student can really go as fast as they want to or need to. So occasionally, like I just had a student 2 weeks ago who said, I just got laid off. I'm in my last week of work right now. I really want to do the GED program. I had to correct him. It's the HiSET program here, but I had to let him know, like, if you're getting a certain amount of time that they're still paying you at your job, this would be a really good time to just go all in. Like, yes, maybe you report to class 2, 4, no, it'd be like maybe 5 hours a week. But you can go home right after you leave class and log in and keep working on it, and you can plow through all the material. So it's not like a thing of you have to wait for the pace of the rest of the class. You can really go a lot more intense with it, if that's what your situation is dictating. All right. So dual enrollment, for us, we're in our world, it's adult dual enrollment. And basically what adult dual enrollment allows is for students who are currently enrolled in an adult school. If they're enrolled in a GED program or a diploma completion program, they're able to enroll at Fresno City College, tuition free. So this is similar to how maybe, like I mentioned, the high schooler who's doing dual enrollment. But with these adult students, they're able to start getting a jump on their career or on their degree path while they're still finishing up that high school diploma. There's a lot of instances where sometimes somebody dropped out of high school and they've been working, they've been growing professionally, and it's like, but I just need the paper to back it up. And while they're going through that, because I haven't seen fractions in forever and I don't deal with fractions in my regular work, they're going through this program to get that equivalency. But they're more than capable of taking college classes at the same time. So that's a way for them to make progress towards their degree without having to incur any tuition costs. And it helps, give them that head start for making progress in their degree. And this is a process that takes a few steps for the student, but it also ensures that the student is getting guidance and not just an adult school student enrolling into classes at the college without any guidance. So the way that it looks for them is a student has to fill out this form, and it's a uniform. This form is uniform across the district. So all of our sister colleges use this same form, but the student will usually meet with their counselor at the adult school, and that's usually who kind of gives them that nudge of, hey, this would be a great opportunity for you. So then the counselor will send them over to us. We talk with them and say, all right, Roxy, you may be interested in child development. Maybe we get you into a child development class. So then we fill it in on here. She's going to take child development 1. And then this form goes back to the counselor to sign and verify that they are indeed in a GED or a high school equivalency, or high school diploma completion program. And then we get them enrolled. So they have that part of, they've had to meet with one of us counselors. They've also spoken with their counselor at the adult school as well. So they're on our radar of, all right, we need to be checking up on them and seeing how is their classes going. And every time they enroll for this, they do have to go through this process so that we can make sure that those fees are getting waived. Anything I missed? No. And this is actually an area that we're looking at really trying to grow. It's been something that it's kind of been a slow burn of how it's been growing, but we really want to have students at the adult school take more advantage of this, because some of them, we start telling them about it. And I think a lot of people, even among our college, our colleagues here, but even our colleagues in the K-12 system, a lot of people think, oh, if I don't have my GED or diploma, I can't attend college. And the reality is you still can. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. If somebody had told me, the difference that it makes is that you're just eligible for less financial aid if you don't have that diploma or GED, but they're still able to be here. And it's just being able to open that door for them and say, no, you can still come. It's for a lot of them, it's just this, you just get this look on their face of, I wish somebody had told me this sooner, because I could have at least taken one class at a time and all that. So you can really see it motivate them sometimes too and get them excited, because it's like, oh, so I can work on both at the same time. But the big thing is they do just have to be a part of the be a part of an adult school. I have had students in the past that reach out, they're like, oh, well, I'm doing a GED class at my church, or there's this organization that works with my kid's school that comes out. Those don't count, unfortunately. It has to be through an adult school. So where I mentioned earlier, oh, yes, sir.
Oh, I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
Are there any like classes that like they're not able to take if they don't have a high school diploma or GED or a HiSET? Or
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I think there might be certain programs they wouldn't be able to do, like, I think is it like the fire technology program or
Police Academy has.
the police academy? I think they have like a high school diploma requirement.
oh,
So that would be more so a program has that requirement. And in those, like, somebody can't enroll in one of those specific courses without being in the actual program itself. So that part kind of blocks that out. But as far as a specific course requiring a diploma, I mean, I don't think I've seen that.
yeah, I'm like unaware of it, so that's why
Yeah.
I would ask, because I know usually like they'll take like say English, say before you take a certain course, it'll say like prerequisite. Like, you're
Yeah.
supposed to before you take that course.
Well, that still stands.
Yeah, like,
yeah,
so
those
the other
will.
prereqs, yeah, but I don't think there's a prereq of high school diploma.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
No.
No, because again, I mean, you have this, I think that's also just the challenge of, the college world in general is you could have somebody with a diploma, but they still don't have the skills maybe to be successful in English 1A yet. But you could also have the person who dropped out in 8th grade and has been growing in their own, and they could be just as ready as that other person. So this is just one way of being able to give them those opportunities to attend college and to get all those supports. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be listing it, but all those supports I listed before, career and employment center, psych services, and bus pass, all those different resources that are available to them, and they're able to take advantage of them now. So, especially the tutoring, a lot of times they'll ask us, well, what if I need help? We have tutoring on campus. We have tutoring online. If you need a quiet place to work because your kids are running around at home, come do your homework in the library on our campus. We don't want them to feel like I'm a student there, but I can't really go there. Like, we want them to feel like this is your home, even though your class may be somewhere else, or you're doing it online, or you're doing it. This is still your home here at Fresno City.
Can check out a device.
Oh, yeah, and for these students, they are able to check out the devices. I mean, our library has the tablets and laptops, so these students, they're also able to utilize that in case they don't have that service at home as well. Thank you, Roxy. So I'm not sure how familiar people are with the distinction of credit and non-credit here on our campus, and this is really big for us when we're working with students, particularly for EMLS. It's really huge. So when we're doing 4 credit classes, that's probably, I don't know the exact percentage, but the overwhelming majority of classes on our campus are 4 credit classes. And the way that you know that is any class that's labeled with a 300 prefix is a non-credit course. Other than that, all the 200 level classes, 100 and the 0 through 99, those are all 4 credit classes. So students will get charged tuition for those classes. But when our class is non-credit, they don't get charged. And the reason that's such a big deal, particularly for the population we work with, is when you're working with EMLS, you're working with English language learners who usually end up being immigrants who came here, maybe in their adulthood, or they came late high school. So they don't always fit the criteria or the requirements to be considered in-state student. So when we see the price tag of, Fresno City College, $46 a unit, there's a few disclaimers to that. It's, you have to meet California residency requirements, and there's, different things. It's not just, I always joke with students, but it's like, it's not just I live in Fresno, so duh, I'm a California resident. It's not that simple. So for a lot of our students in EMLS, if they wanted to take a course that was 4 credit, you're looking at $300 plus for every unit of classes. So you can just see how the price tag would just blow up for them. So being able to offer these classes non-credit for them, yeah, they don't earn units for them, but they are able to take these classes tuition free. They just have to pay that student health fee that everybody's paying. And they're able to repeat the class. So especially in something like English, some of these students, a lot of times they're really down on their confidence. And a lot of students will tell us, we'll ask them, well, how do you feel with your English? Like, I'm at a 0. And a lot of times for these students, I'm talking with them in Spanish. And it's like, oh, they tell me I'm at a 0. I'm like, I don't really think you're at a 0. But a lot of times, they just know I'm not confident in speaking it. So they knock down their skills, but we're like, but you understand it. I kind of joke with students, it's like, I'm sure if your kids were at home with their friends and you heard them saying something inappropriate, you'd catch them quick. So English, you're just not comfortable with speaking, and which is great, because we have classes on pronunciation, on listening and speaking to help you grow in those areas. So sometimes they may not feel like they're ready to go up to the next level. So we say, hey, it's non-credit. You can repeat it again. If you'd like to, take it with a different teacher, take it at a different location. So this does give them the opportunity to really grow in those skills because it's non-credit. It's low stakes as well. Those are, they become pass or no pass classes. So it is just very much creates this opportunity of, it takes away the stress of the financial aspect of it, but it gives them the opportunity to really be in a space where they can learn and feel safe to take a chance on a different type of class. When our students do start transitioning and they finish up our EMLS sequence, or they're taking some of the other pathway classes that we do, we are, directing them to go to the financial aid lab for assistance with completing their financial aid applications, so they can get assistance with covering those fees as they start making, that part of their journey here at Fresno City. I missed it?
Question.
Yeah.
For the EMLS courses, should a person be able to speak and understand some English?
Yeah, I think so. I think for the person who's like the truly, and if I have any EMLS faculty in here, please correct me, but they do need to have some English familiarity. We've had some instances where somebody will come to us and they have their daughter there translating for them the entire time. That person will struggle. I think what's really nice about our classes, they're so diverse that usually there's somebody else that speaks the same language. So they'll get that support and guidance from their peers. But they will have a little bit more challenging time if they understand no English. So like, say somebody moved here last week and has no other English experience, it may be too advanced for them. But it really just depends on the individual. And if not, then we direct them to Fresno Adult School. Yeah.
Plus, we have different levels.
Yeah, and I have a slide for that
You got a
too in a
slide.
second. Yeah, so I'll be able to touch on that too a little bit more. Yes, sir.
Once more, the non-credit is anything with a 300, right?
Yeah, so anything with a 300 numbering is a non-credit
Like,
course.
just for an example, if it's like English 302 or something, that's not credit.
That would be non-credit, yeah,
English 1A, that's
correct, yeah, correct. Yeah, and that's the thing, like a lot of times, like even for us counselors, before we started doing a lot of this in EMLS, 300 just wasn't something you saw very often, so it's just kind of this, oh, I just, who knows what that is, so
I would
just to draw that out.
Something that's like more advanced.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I even think to,
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
like you, I would go to state, it's like, oh, you go for this one, and once you go to grad school, it's like a 3 month.
like they flip it. Yeah, and that definitely took an adjustment. It's like, yeah, if you came from Fresno State, like, oh, the 100s was upper division, the 200s was graduate level. So it's like, oh, 300, what's that? And then here they turn it on its side. So, yeah, well, let's just say Fresno State turns it on its side. So, yeah. So with Fresno Adult School, I mentioned, we do a lot of work with them. And it's really grown in the last several years. Part of how it started was for a long time, Lisa, when she was in college relations, would be over there to offer transition support. And that was kind of it. She was there. I know it sounds very minimal of the work that you did, but it was to be there to offer support to students who wanted to transition to Fresno City. And then I remember maybe like 2 years before the pandemic, we started offering ESL classes at Fresno Adult School. I don't know if anybody remembers that they had classrooms over here at Manchester Center. So we actually ended up taking over some of their classrooms and we're offering our ESL classes there. That was before they called it EMLS, but we were offering our ESL classes here at Manchester in partnership with Fresno Adult School. And what was kind of interesting at that time is they got kind of defensive about it. They were like, why are you taking our students? But we saw it as we're helping that your students start to transition over. And it took some time because, you know, for teachers, it's like, hey, you're hurting the enrollment in my class. And what if they cancel my class because I don't have enough students? So it was a very real concern for them, but I think as they've gotten to know us and the leadership and us counselors that work with their students, it's like, hey, we want to see them grow and we can also help you replenishing your pool of students because sometimes students do find out about our class too late. It is past census day. Hey, you know what? It's too late for this semester, but join Fresno Adult School and then next semester you'll be ready for us. So we're also sending students their way as well. And I think as they started seeing, oh, you're really making this a two-way street. It's not just you're pulling our students, but this is a two-way exchange. I think we saw a real shift in how willing they were to work with us here at Fresno City College. And where that's grown is in this past year, we've started, probably not the right word. We've started offering some of our classes there in place of some of their classes. So for students who are going through, like, who want to pursue their LVN program, students have to take a medical math class. They have to take a medical terminology, an anatomy and physiology, and a computer skills class. So in the past, what would happen is maybe a student went through their LVN program, they took Fresno Adult School's medical terminology class. And then maybe 3 years down the road, they apply to Fresno City College, they want to start working on a medical program here. And then they see, oh, you know, I'm looking at the major sheet and I see HIT 10 medical terminology, and they would say, well, Eric, I already took medical terminology. I'm like, where'd you take it? Fresno Adult School? Sorry, we can't count that. So you can imagine how frustrating that would be for a student of, I did this already, I already know it, and now I have to take it all over again. So you can just imagine probably how deflating that is for a student who's like all energized and motivated now to tell them you have to take this class all over. So now what we're doing is we offer our HIT 10 medical terminology class on their campus. So students are taking it as Fresno City College students now, so we are enrolling them, doing the matriculation process with them. And they're Fresno City College students. So now when they take this course, they're at Fresno City, they're getting credit for it. And what I add to them when I would have to, like, you know, explain this to them is the added benefit to this is, say in 2 years, you end up having to move up to San Jose or you move down to Bakersfield. This class, because it is a college class, it's more likely to be recognized by another college and getting approved for a major that you're going to be working at maybe at another school. So it just becomes more mobile, whereas here with Fresno Adult School, they're like, all right, well, we have a handshake agreement with Clovis Adult School for their LVN program. We have, you know, kind of these local agreements with other schools of what they'll accept. But being a college class, it really just takes care of a lot of that. So we've been doing that with medical terminology and the pharmacology class. The CTE program over there. So in their CTE, they have several programs. So they have like paraprofessional, bus drivers, all the medical programs they do. There's one or two more. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on
The
them.
office.
Like the office assistant programs. And a lot of those programs funnel into jobs going right into Fresno Unified. So for the students out there, it's a great opportunity because a lot of times, like, you're working straight and then you become, you know, a part of their sub pool to get into working at Fresno Unified. But all of those programs require a computer class. So in the past year, our business department and the CTE vice principal over there got into talks and we're like, hey, our classes are very similar. Why not have students take it as a Fresno City College class? And then they get all those benefits of Fresno City College. They start early on with us and get that exposure. They get that connection to us, the counselors, so they're already more familiar with it. And a lot of times, you know, once they get out into jobs, they'll already have their ID numbers with us and they can feel more comfortable. And you know what? I got this program here at the adult school, but maybe I want to get a certificate from Fresno City College. I want to work on a degree later. They already kind of have that jump started with us from the early goings of that. So what started out is just having Lisa having time out at their office to reach out to students. has now grown into us offering almost 20 sections of classes in partnership with them every semester, helping all those students enroll in the college, having a regular presence on their campus at their orientations, at their different events on campus. Where we kind of joke about it among our team, but occasionally there's a student who's like, oh, I can't make your guys' office hours this day. Can you come and help me on another day? So we'll set an appointment. And I think our thing now is you don't just set time for one appointment over there, because if you're meeting with them, maybe out by the cafeteria or out on a table, you're gonna see another student. And they're gonna say, oh, when you're done with her, can you help me? And then 30 minutes turns into 3 hours on a day. And it wasn't always that way. And I think that just speaks to the collaboration and the spirit of what's going on with them over there. That's allowed them to feel comfortable to have us roaming the campus. They're like, do you guys want to do presentations? Like, what else can we do? So before where they were a little more guarded, now they're like, what else do you want to do with us? What else can we do together? So that's actually been a really great partnership that's grown over these last few years. And the way that we help these students in getting into these classes, we hold informational sessions. This is kind of transitioned now. They've integrated us into their CTE orientations. So instead of trying to catch these students later on, we're getting them at the front end when they're coming in, and helping them again get their college IDs, or sorry, their college applications completed, but also helping them step by step with enrolling them into classes, giving them their schedules, giving them guidance on where the classroom's held, and being able to offer up to them what else is available to help you. If you need help accessing your student email, navigating your portal, all of that stuff, we have that guidance for them along the way. Another partnership we have over there is it was a new program that launched this past school year, this last academic year, but it's a grant funded program at Fresno Adult School that actually is working on growing the number of CNAs who are bilingual and being able to provide them that support of being in a class where they're getting ESL instruction, but with a medical focus. They're getting support in taking their computer class. These students are obviously all going together through these classes, but they actually have a designated counselor from Fresno City that's supporting them on the Fresno City College side of things as well. And a lot of these students, as they finish their graduation and they finish their program, some of them want to continue working towards maybe that LVN, or maybe they want to work for a bit, figure out where their spot is, and they come back. But now they have this exposure to Fresno City College and knowing about the different opportunities there. So this actually was this is from the first graduation of the first class of this cohort. That was just in June of this year. And it was just really special. I mean, we had this here for anybody that recognizes this. This is in Forum Hall. So this is here on our campus, but it was just really cool to see how excited some of these students were. One of the challenges that we deal with in our EMLS world and just in our adult world is because you have people that are immigrants, that doesn't mean that they're low skilled. Some of these people were nurses. One person said, she goes, I was the supervising nurse at the hospital I worked at, and now I can't even get an entry-level job here. So a lot of times these students will take advantage of a program like this to start, for one, getting that itch of like, I want to work in medical, I want to work with patients, I want to work in that setting. But it gets them on that path to try to regain where they were before. But it also opens up those opportunities for them. Maybe if this is a totally new career path. One of the gentlemen that was in this program, he was one of their student speakers. He's currently a firefighter, but he's like, I want to work towards getting into the medical side of things now. He goes, I'm kind of done being a firefighter. I want to go this way. So this class is just really opening those doors for students who may not have felt as comfortable to try to go through a program. Now they're getting that specific language support as well as they go through this program. All right. So EMLS, this is the work that we do a lot of on campus, but also out in the community. So somebody had asked earlier, and we actually have our department chair here now for EMLS. So Sally, you may chime in at some point. There might be questions. Sorry, Sally, you don't get to quietly slip in here. But within EMLS, there are different levels of classes. So for that question a little while ago of, does somebody have to know English to be in these classes? I mean, like I said before, they should know some English. It doesn't have to be strong, but they need to have some English familiarity. We have the 4 levels ranging from low intermediate all the way to advanced. And then in here, we have 4 different types of classes: reading and writing, listening and speaking, pronunciation, and grammar. So I always tell students, just because you're in a pronunciation class, you're still gonna do writing. It doesn't mean like, oh, I don't have to even bring a pencil, you know, you're still going to, but the focus is on speaking, on the pronunciation. And I also tell them in the reading and writing class, you're still gonna be talking. So sometimes a student will feel a little frustrated because obviously they're new to this. And it's like, well, I wanna take all of them. Well, the schedule doesn't always work out for you to take all of them in one semester. So we let them know each class has its focus area, but you're still working on the other skills. Because if you're in your reading and writing class, you're still working on talking to your classmates. You may still have to present on something. You're still going to be talking with your instructor. So the other skills, it's not like they're on pause that semester. It's just each class will focus on a separate area. So just to point out how we were talking about the numbering of credit and non-credit, you see here that a lot of them have both numbers listed on the class. There's a 213 and a 313. That means a student could choose to take that class credit and other students could take it non-credit. So a lot of our, you can see all of it, but our EMLS classes are dual rostered. So if we're just pretending that this classroom is one of our EMLS classes, it could be that you 3 right here are taking it for credit and the rest of you are taking it non-credit. And I really try to point that out to our students because I also don't want them to feel like, oh, if I'm taking the non-credit, that's the cheaper version of the class. You're getting the same instruction, you're getting the same rigor, you're getting all the same teaching and content. So it's just a matter of how you're set up in the system. For some students that are eligible for financial aid, or maybe they need to earn units for a particular program they're with in the community, like with the county or something, that 4 credit version is available for them. But for a lot of our students who don't meet the California residency requirements and stuff like that, most of them will take the class non-credit because it's free. And these students are also able to earn certificates through these programs. I didn't put a slide on here for that, so I apologize. But they are able to earn certificates as well. Typically, it's by taking, like for example, there's a certificate that would be all of these high intermediate classes. And it's like a vocational certificate that they would earn, but they can earn a certificate by completing those 4 classes. And we actually find that a lot of times in our EMLS classes, some of these students are people that are used to going to classes at their kids' school, out in the community with different local community organizations, and they love having certificates. Like sometimes they ask, I came to the class, I finished at the end of the semester, can I get a certificate for it? And because our college holds formal certificates, we're very hesitant to like, all right, I'm gonna put you out because you finished 1 class. So we tell them, well, if you take these 4, you can earn this certificate, and it actually comes on the formalized Fresno City certificate and all that. So it is something where the students can still earn something, even if they're maybe not planning on pursuing a degree in the future, but they're taking English to help themselves be more independent, maybe to help their kids in school, to increase their job opportunities. Whatever that goal is, these classes serve that. And you know, if you've ever taken a peek in one of our EMLS classes, they're very diverse. They're very diverse, both in age and culture and language. And the potlucks are awesome in those classes as well. So, and what we do with EMLS, we do take a lot of time into recruiting for these classes. It's not just waiting and saying, all right, well, we'll see who looks for our classes on self-service, but we host regular orientations so students can get information about EMLS classes. We explain to them about the content, we explain to them about the registration process, but then we also help them with the application process. A lot of them have never applied to Fresno City or are brand new to our system. So we help them with all of that process, completed the campus orientation with them. So this semester, you know, we did actually, this was last week, we did an event at West Fresno Center, where we were recruiting students for the class that we're going to be offering out there. So we go out to the community a lot to do this type of outreach. Fresno Adult School, the same thing. We're gonna have 2 classes running there this fall. We have some dates already scheduled for when we're gonna be out there on their campus to promote these classes and get the students enrolled and matriculated with Fresno City. So when I mentioned earlier that we kind of do our mini college relations like Reg Express or Reg to Go, that's what I'm referring to, is we do all of that stuff along the process with them. All right. Session's over at 9:15. 9:15, okay, all right, I'm like, I think I'm good, I'm pacing myself all right, so. And I kind of just hit on a lot of this right now, but, you know, I mentioned when we provide these orientation sessions, we're providing them all that guidance on there. Some of these students, their familiarity with computers and comfort level with computers is all over the spectrum. So that's why we do the orientation for our campus as a group with them. So that way they're asking their questions in real time. They're not having to like, oh, I wonder what that is. Let me follow up and email somebody. They're asking us just right there on the spot. You know, and also for some of these students being able to ask it in their language. I mean, we've been getting a lot more students who speak Armenian. Roxy's your girl. So Spanish, I'm able to support. Crystal on our team speaks Hmong, so she's able to provide support to those. Rosa speaks Spanish, so we have the varied language supports that we're able to offer out as well, which is really big for us, given, you know, the number of other languages that are around here in the valley. And I mentioned, you know, we do that follow-up with them. So after they apply, there's still this whole other layer of, you know, we had these 15 people apply last night at an application session. We're also going in there and finding, all right, can we find you in the system? Did your ID get processed? And we're doing all of that background work so that we can help the students get enrolled. And as I mentioned, then we have somebody like Rosa who's able to provide them support on, this is how you log into student self-service. This is how you log into Canvas. This is how you get into your email. And it's a lot because, again, with the skills being where they are, some of these students are like, oh, okay, I just need to know where the link was, and they're fine. Other ones are, you're telling them, all right, I need you to click on this part of the screen, and they say, what's click? And you're like, oh my God. And it takes a whole other level of patience. I think it really takes a certain type of personality to do the work that we do because of the varied experience with, you know, the school setting, the technology. So we're really grateful to have the people that we do on our team and the people who support us in the work that we do out in the community, that they all have the heart for this type of learner that we're supporting. Am I missing anything? I thought I had another slide and I'm like, yeah.
Do you have our contact slides?
I think that's the one I missed because I cut it out to put that picture of us. Yeah, I have handouts here, and actually when I send out the presentation, I do have like a whole contact page that has all of our contact information. You know, I think some of the last things that I just want to make sure that I mention in the work that we do is, you know, there are occasionally community organizations that are like, hey, how can I get an English class out here in our community? You know, that takes work. Obviously, on our college's part, there's the legal parts of it of like getting MOUs approved and all of that. But a lot of times, you know, we need commitments from students because it could be really cool. You know, you maybe have this person who's running a nonprofit that says, we would really love to offer this to our people. All right, but this is also not just, you know, 4 workshops you want us to bring. It's a 15-week class, a 16-week class that we're bringing out. Do you have people that are committed? And all that, because we do get questions like that from out in the community of how can we bring you guys out here too? So it is an involved process for them. It's not like all right, hey, well, I made that connection and Fresno City will take care of it. We do need engagement from those partners, but that's also how we're creating a footprint out in the community as well. I mentioned earlier, we do classes out at the Seek Institute. You know, we have Dean Gurminder, who's a part of the community there. So they were really instrumental in helping us get our classes out there. And it's actually been really great. When we first started classes out there, what was the first semester, like 2019, 18, 19?
Probably 19, not 18.
Yeah, when we first started doing classes out at the Seek Institute, the class population was overwhelmingly Punjabi speaking. And then as the semesters have gone on, it's become such a mixed class out there that it's been a really great experience for the students because for one, they're getting exposed to something brand new. For a lot of them, they have very little familiarity with the Sikh community. So when you get out there, and it's funny because like you get out there and the first thing they do you want something to eat? Do you want some tea? Do you want this? And even for those students, when they're there on a Saturday class, that community always has food available. So they go to the class and they tell them, make sure you come and get something to eat. And if I don't go when I'm there, one of the ladies brings me something because they're like, no, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna take care of you. So even just as a cultural experience for these students, they've been exposed to something really, really nice that way. But making that class accessible. I mean, we've had students that they're like, oh my gosh, that's Saturday class. And yeah, this class is on Saturday. So we're making it even more accessible to some of the working individuals. They're like, this is on my side of town. It's been perfect. So these partnerships, it takes time to develop it. You know, we have to get the buy-in from those communities for them to trust, like, oh, you said there's gonna be an English class, you made it happen, and it was a great class. So it takes time, but it used to be a thing where we were worried, are we gonna fill up the Sikh Institute class? And now it's like, it has wait lists every semester. And we went from offering one class, now we offer two classes out there. So a lot of these things take time, but it's also that time that we're spending in building relationship with the community and building their familiarity with not just our college, but with us as an adult education team that's going out there. So do you guys have any questions?
Just a comment that Alex,
Yeah.
I didn't know about the whole like, that you, if I was like, if I didn't have the education I have now, or even with the education I have now, I didn't know that you could go to a community college without a GED.
Yeah.
So now I can pass that on to students.
Okay.
And then, cause yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there, including myself, if I would have gotten back in time and didn't get my, high school diploma, I would have thought that that would have been a requirement.
You wanna encourage them though to continue to get it, like I said, or
Yeah.
GED as well as go to the community college,
Yeah.
but that's very true.
Yeah, so for those online, he was just mentioning that he really appreciated learning the part of that you don't have to have a diploma or GED to attend the college. And back then he didn't know that, and even now, not having realized that that was possible. So I'm glad that was helpful for you, and I'm hopeful that was helpful for the rest of you as well. Any other questions or comments? No. All right, last plug for my session this afternoon. So if you want to bookend your day with me, start it and end it with me. At the afternoon session right after lunch, we are going to be going to Fresno Adult School, and there'll be a tour. So we're actually going off campus for this one. So it's a double session. But we are doing a tour of Fresno Adult School. They'll be giving a presentation so you can learn a little more about the programs they offer over there. And the idea of why I put that session together was, I think, you know, if anybody knows, like Fresno Adult School is just down the block. So like at the very end of it, there are neighbors down the street. And I think sometimes people don't realize what all they offer. I think sometimes people think of adult school, they just think of GED and ESL, and that's it, but they offer so much more over there. So it was just to give people a better idea of what all is actually offered on their campus. So for those of you who have been joining us virtually, I appreciate your time and for joining me this morning. I think they will be sending out surveys to you for your participation today. So thank you again. And for you here, I need to figure out where the surveys are. So I'll get those right now. But yeah, thank you all very much and enjoy the rest of Flex Day.